We're going to go ahead and get started. On behalf of the City of St. Petersburg, thank you for joining us here tonight for the Historic Gas Plant Community Open House. It's clear to see how much this means to everyone here and everyone watching online. Thanks for taking time to be a part of this important conversation about the future of our historic gas plant site. Tonight is an opportunity for the community to hear directly from our 4 shortlisted development teams, learn more about their proposals, and submit questions for discussion following the presentations. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to give a brief overview of how we got here today. The process began in October of 2025 when the city received an unsolicited proposal for the redevelopment of the historic gas plant site. Then on November 19th, 2025, interested developers and the community were notified that the city intended to publish a notice for alternative proposals on January 4th, 2026. Following that publication date, per state statute, interested parties were given 30 days to respond. By the February 3rd, 2026 deadline, the city received 8 total proposals for consideration. In April of this year, those proposals were reviewed and shortlisted to the 4 that you'll hear from tonight and for further evaluation. These 4 proposers are here with us tonight to present their visions for the site and answer any questions from the community. The 4 firms presented this evening are in this order: Bergbid, Foundation Vision Partners, Pinellas County Housing Authority, and Ark Ellison Horace. Before we hear from our proposers tonight, it is my pleasure to welcome my mayor, Mayor Kenneth T. Welch.
I looked at you a couple times. Okay, Sean's checking my 40 speed to get up here, so. Good evening, everyone. How are y'all doing? I want to welcome you to our historic gas plant district open house tonight. First, I want to say thank you to all of our St. Pete residents for joining us this evening in person and online. I want to thank our city council members who are here with us tonight up front, to our administration and St. Pete team who are dispersed throughout the building, and to our development teams who have joined us as well. Tonight, we come together to continue the important work of moving forward on the historic gas plant district redevelopment. The purpose of this open house is to give the community the opportunity to hear directly from developers and learn more about their development proposals for the historic gas plant district. And I encourage each of you to use this opportunity to learn about the proposals, to ask questions, and to provide your feedback. But before we hear from the developers, I want to be clear about my perspective as mayor on this redevelopment process. As I've said before as a candidate and then later as a mayor, it's time to move forward to fulfill the decades-long promise of equitable and beneficial development of this site. And this selection process will determine if that goal is attainable through one or more of these proposals. Through years of conversations, we've developed broad consensus on the history of the historic gas plant, on the promises made and what progress should look like on this site. The community has told us time and time again what progress should look like on this site. Jobs, housing, inclusive economic opportunity, and honoring the promises that were made to the gas plant community, with economic and community resiliency as foundational elements. As we near 40 years since the uprooting of the gas plant community in the name of progress, it's time to finally act on those priorities through intentional and equitable action. This project is about people, it's about history, and those long-standing promises, and how we move from those promises, which were made when I was in high school at the Lakewood High School, how we move from that to finally creating impactful benefits for our community. Following tonight's event, we will have a 30-day period to gather additional feedback from residents. After that additional public input, our goal is to select a proposal or proposals by June of this year. Following the project selection, the qualifying proposals will be formally vetted by the Community Benefits Advisory Council Committee and City Council in alignment with our previously established procedures. As this process continues, I want to stress that we welcome continued dialogue and public input, and we encourage your participation. Together, we can finally ensure that the Historic Gas Plant District reflects both our history and the highest aspirations that we all share for St. Petersburg's future. Again, I want to thank you all for joining us. We appreciate your partnership, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts and feedback tonight and throughout the process. And remember, we are St. Pete. God bless y'all.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for caring so much about a project that will inevitably change our city for the better for years to come. We do have some council members in the building tonight, so once I say your name, please just stand and wave to be recognized. I see Brandy Gabbard is in the building. We have Mike Harding. We have Deborah Figg Sanders. We're pointing. Corey Gibbons. I believe that's all we've seen, so if I see anyone else, we'll recognize you. Thank you. Before we start to the presenters, I'd like to briefly explain how the evening is going to work. So each of our 4 shortlisted teams will present their proposal in 20 minutes or less. Keyword, 20 minutes or less. So we've talked to the developer, we've talked to the presenters, and they know we're going to be strict on that 20 minutes so everyone gets the same amount of time. After all the presentations have concluded, we'll hold a Q&A segment. Again, we encourage people to scan that QR code, submit those questions, and there's an opportunity for people online to submit questions in the chat as well. We'll do our address to address as many questions as possible. Obviously, we have 30 minutes, so we'll get through as many as we can and giving the presenters time to speak and answer. We want to know everyone to know that the entire program will be recorded and made available on stpete.org. And with that being said, let's get into these presentations. Are we ready? There we go. Come on now. Are we ready? There we go. This is important. All right. And look, we're going to have some fun tonight. So when I announce this group that's coming up, cheer, applaud. If you want to hear from them, that's what tonight's about. We can have a little fun while we're doing this too. So our first presentation, please join me in welcoming the Berg Bid.
My family is being raised here. I was born here. My parents were born here. This isn't a real estate deal. This is a campaign for the heart of St. Petersburg. What Blake's team is doing is listening to what the community needs and integrating that into a development strategy.
So it was important for me to talk to my parents about this project because they grew up in that area and they have more significant memories of the community and everybody that lived in that area. And then the meetings that took place and the promises that were made that never really came to fruition.
I think it's really important that the gas plant project focuses on the locals and the people that actually helped make St. Pete what it is today.
Absolutely paramount in this project and in our proposal is the African American heritage and how Black and brown people weren't treated fairly on this site. And what we've done is we've made the Woodson Museum the absolute centerpiece of our land planning project. And what makes that special is no matter how you interact with our city in the future, Woodson's and African American heritage and pride and history and future are going to be at the heartbeat of our project.
I think it's really up to the people that have grown in this community and understand what surrounds us to expand it and progress it.
In 50 years of doing deals, I've never seen anyone work like they do. If they say they're going to do something, they do it, period. End of sentence.
I know that someone who is actually from St. Pete is best for St. Pete, and that's Blake and his team.
For 23 years, our firm has created a proven track record of bringing developments of this scale to fruition. We've completed over 200 developments across the Southeast. Whether it be Cast, one of the best multifamily developers in town, Blue Sky, the best affordable housing developer in town, Gilbane, 7th largest general contractor in the nation, Skanska, 7th largest general contractor in the world. These are all the caliber of people we are bringing to our team with proven track records who have done developments all across the city.
This process has resulted in the largest valuation ever discussed for the city's land, the largest commitment to affordable housing in the city's history, and the largest new park in 119 years with Museum Row.
I can tell you one thing, our firm has the ability to help St. Petersburg heal from the mistakes it's made and grow without losing its character and its soul.
This isn't the Blake offer, this is the Berg offer, assembled from a team of people who live here and truly care about this community.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Blake. I've been an investor and a developer here for 24 years. There's nowhere I want to be tonight than here with you, my friends and my neighbors. First, I'd like to start off by thanking the mayor. The mayor has made the headline in this story, African American heritage and affordability. You're going to hear that we're announcing the largest commitment to affordable housing in the history of the city tonight. Also, if that doesn't deserve a clap, this mayor also deserves credit for a major difference from 14 months ago. 14 months ago, we were all thinking that we were selling this property for $105 million, and that valuation was going to be what we saw as a city. Tonight, this mayor has pushed, and we have now a valuation from our team of $405 million for the city. Before we move forward, I'm going to suggest that everyone in this room think of 3 questions to ask yourself why people are presenting. Question 1, does the developer know this community? Do they have the pulse of this place? Do they go to church with you or synagogue with you? Do your kids go to school with their kids? Are these people here just for the deal? I'm not here for a project. This is my home. 2, do they have the capital? Can they evidence to you tonight that they have the funding in order? Not can they raise it, not will they get it, do they have it tonight? We do. You'll hear from the Capitol and you can ask them all the questions you want. Number 3, does the team have the experience? These numbers are not wrong, they're gigantic. This team collectively has done hundreds of thousands of residential units. They've done hundreds of billions of dollars of closed real estate transactions. This is not a cobbled together team for a pitch to you. This is a group of people that work well together repeatedly and have executed in this city. Community, capital, experience. We got those. So before I turn this over, we at St. Petersburg have gotten very used to people thinking about this site as something controlled or owned by New Yorkers or baseball or people from Texas or now Jacksonville or even worse, people from Tampa. Either way, as St. Petersburgians, let's call that all, they're the away team. Tonight, I'd like you to meet the best and brightest in St. Petersburg, and I'd like you to see this as a way to bring the best back to St. Pete. I'd like you to see these people as your new home team. Thank you.
This project is too important to fail. Good evening, I'm Kurt Trisfencic with the Related Group. We've already invested $2 billion in the region and are one of the largest developers in Florida. When we got the call from Blake, we knew this was an opportunity we had to be a part of, in a place where we've had many successes and remain eager to continue to grow. Our company has been involved in the region through workforce, affordable, market rate, and luxury housing. Also, importantly, the arts. The arts are an extremely important part of our firm, and with this project, a revitalized and exciting new project will emerge. As you can see, a best-in-class team has been assembled, many of whom I've worked with and our firm has worked with in multiple successful projects. We have a long history of successfully executing large-scale mixed-use projects while always focused on the most important thing, community. This city deserves nothing else.
Elliott Management is one of the oldest investment managers of its kind. We've been around for 50 years, and we're headquartered here in Florida. We manage approximately $80 billion in capital, and we invest across a broad range of industries, but within those, we've gotten meaningful experience investing in real estate. For example, in January, we closed on the purchase of a public company with 24 properties for over $1 billion. 2 of those were located here in St. Pete. So we've spent time in this market, and we know it. When we're looking at a new real estate opportunity, the first place that we start is with the partner. We'll never enter a new market or endeavor to look at a project without the right partner. And we try to work with people who we truly believe are best in class at what they do. I've known Blake for over a decade. We've worked on numerous projects together. And we also have a deep relationship and multiple partnerships with Related. And it's the involvement of both of these groups that makes us excited to spend time on this opportunity.
Why does all this team and size and numbers matter? Because our team will not let this fail. We want to provide the most value to the city of St. Petersburg and have a team that's going to deliver. So we have provided the highest numbers on all these categories on the value side of the equation. But why is that important for St. Pete residents? Because the value that creates. 30,000 jobs, $30 billion in economic development. $3.3 billion goes to our small and minority businesses. $2.7 billion in tax revenue that we can put towards a few things that we might need. Stormwater, all those other cash. That's why it's important when you're a St. Pete resident. We think about the other things. And of course, the housing, 3,600 affordable housing units, and we're gonna make sure that we have the least amount of infrastructure used in this project, money from the CRA.
All right, so we've seen the team, we've seen that we have the resources to start immediately and see this all the way to the end. But again, why does that matter? Why does that matter if we can't guarantee that we provide what's best for St. Pete? So how do we do that? So first is the legacy. The first thing we did was study the history, but that wasn't it, that wasn't enough. So we went and spoke directly to gas plant descendants to understand what their experience was like and how they want their legacy honored and what values define that neighborhood. And what we found out is those values align perfectly with the mayor's pillars of progress and the guiding principles. So we took that with that legacy and made that the foundation of our vision. But not just that, we are going to listen first, right? Our strategy for our outreach is not to solicit a lot of letters of support. We have actually reached out, and we're reaching out to members of the community, members of organizations, to have them come on board and plan with us through our independent visionary panel, which will not only, with you, the community as well, tell us what the community needs as a part of this development, but also hold us accountable and make sure that we do what we say we're gonna do throughout the entire progress of this development, which could potentially be 15 plus years.
I'm Jason Jensen, WJ Architects, and I was also a St. Pete Chamber Chair. So the pier was something very close to us, all 3 versions of it. And we spent so much time on the community outreach. It's the most community outreach in the history of St. Petersburg, but it made it better. And this pier developed with that input and the quality and level that we must bring to the gas plant district. That's why we placed that level of public space directly in the center of the site, along with the Woodson. What you place in the center is important to you. Beyond that history, those stories are going to be embedded throughout this site. We have what we call the legacy link. One connects us to the Deuces, the 16th Street. It connects us to downtown, but it also connects us to our heritage. Those stories will be embedded. They will not be forgotten. They will be embedded in this plan. That legacy link begins to help stitch neighborhoods back together. Now we add the 9 bridges that were originally there, that echo the past of those pedestrian bridges. And then we expand Booker Creek. We provide the resilience, we restore it to what it was, and we give a place that children once played back to our community. Those children and their families are why we're doing this. We're building neighborhoods that lift St. Pete community up.
As part of this proposal, Blue Sky has advanced more than 3,600 units of workforce and affordable housing as part of this proposal. This is the largest housing initiative that the city has ever seen, and also the most across any other proposal that you're going to hear from today. These units will be thoughtfully integrated across multiple neighborhoods and not just concentrated in one. This housing initiative is focused and rooted in one simple truth and promise. Everyone deserves a safe and affordable place to call home. Blue Sky has successfully completed about 3,000 units all over the Tampa Bay region, and we're excited to do 3,600 more right here in our backyard.
Those communities are going to be throughout the development, but in between them, we're going to have fountains, pedestrian-friendly landscape, the cafes, everything that makes St. Petersburg great, connecting the connective tissue of these neighborhoods. We're going to bring transit. We're going to have scooters in their lane. We're going to have pedestrian ways that are inviting and then connect to the Looper and the greater St. Petersburg. When we talked to people through this story, we heard a lot about the education. We heard about Davis Elementary, and they didn't start education at the end. They started it with young children, and we want to do the same. We partnered with Grade X to bring Discovery Children's Museum to this site. They are going to introduce science, physics, STEM to those kids, get them excited on site, and then we're going to bring them to the Boys and Girls Club. They have a Pathways to Prosperity located on site that they will take those kids, introduce them to companies, give them jobs, get them excited about being in the workplace. And then from there, we have multiple paths. We have Career Source that's going to help them, again, with the job side of things. But if they want to go to the construction and the trade side, we want to make sure that they are ready to work for St. Petersburg. Skanska, our partners, will provide that, and then provide them to the higher education. But we're not stopping there. They need the jobs. We need to keep our promise. That promise was not jobs to bring people in from the outside. Those were for St. Petersburg jobs. That's an important part of the promise. That Collaboratorium brings together our St. Pete Chamber, our EDC, our partners locally, but then puts the largest capital impact of the largest incubator innovation center that St. Petersburg, Tampa Bay has ever seen, investing first in St. Pete businesses. If you want to do brick and mortar, we're setting aside 10% retail just for small businesses and micro retail in many different ways, such as we did at the market for the St. Petersburg Pier. Building community connection, over and over, we heard the stories of friendship, community built within this. The Harlem Theater, the 14 churches that were once here, all of those different opportunities brought communities together. We will have an event center that will, at the large scale, bring 5,000 people together with convention supporting it right behind it. We will also have an outdoor lawn that supports that in between the Discovery Center and Event Center. Those event lawns connect together. The one that's a perfect circle is the original location of the gas tank, and it's full size. When you put these 6 different event places together, you can have the best festival nationwide here at St. Petersburg. And you can have multiple events at the same time. You can let Straub Park breathe a little bit. When we look at the City for the Arts, we think of this string of museums. The Woodson is not by itself. We have a MOPA, a Public Art Museum. We have the Children's Museum, the Vent Lawn. These all work together. When you place things together, they all benefit. Now, if you hear the stories, the gas tank was this landmark. Not an icon, but a landmark for the gas plant district. We took that and we said, we want to make a statement for St. Petersburg with these 2 towers that this is the new landmark, focus, important place in the gas plant district. In the phasing, the most important takeaway here is a huge phase one, an entire neighborhood. Every phase is a complete neighborhood with the woods in, and will start generating tax revenue, 22 to 26 million right off the bat. And it will have all of the different hospitality office that you see at the bottom.
So, Mr. Mayor, council members, residents of St. Pete, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for pushing us when, after the Rays deal, you told the development community that we needed to do better. We need to do more, that you wanted our best. Well, here it is. Here's the best economic deal for the city of St. Pete. This gives you $275 million cash to spend however you want. You can spend it on infrastructure, you can spend it on SPAR, however you see fit. This is the highest development spend than any other proposal. This is the highest number of jobs developed other than any other proposal. And this provides more housing units than any other proposal. This is our economic promise, and we will keep it.
Good evening. I'm Ryan Griffin. I'm a lawyer. I'm a small business owner, lifelong St. Pete resident. However, I'm here today because I am a dedicated community servant. I've served as the president and the chair of the Chamber of Commerce, the Grow Smarter Equitable Economic Development Strategy, the St. Pete Arts Alliance, the Bayfront Hospital Foundation, the St. Pete Bar Association, as well as serving on numerous other boards. I say that because St. Pete isn't just where I live, it's who I am. And I haven't found anybody who loves this city, I thought, as much as I do until I competed with this team, and their passion for this city rivals mine, and it should. I've been a part of the gas plant conversation since 2009. That's 17 years ago. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to shape the future of our community. I am proud to stand behind the Berg bid and this team. They are the best in class, not for what they can build, but in how they always show up for St. Pete. They understand the stakes. I'm putting my name behind them because I trust that they will deliver. And I will be here long after tonight to hold them accountable to the families that were displaced out of the gas plant neighborhood in 1986 and to the promises that must benefit all of us. This is my home for life. On every objective measure that you heard, this proposal leads, but numbers aren't the whole story, and in St. Pete it has never been that way. We do things the St. Pete way, rooted in values, our history, and our sense of community. Not the New York, Austin, Tampa way, the St. Pete way, and that's where this proposal sets itself apart. For St. Pete, by St. Pete. For St. Pete means a project that reflects who we are, our culture, our priorities. Not a transplanted copy, but something authentic to this place. By St. Pete means it's shaped by the people who call this city home. It is inclusive, collaborative, and grounded by local voices. Built with St. Pete, not just in St. Pete. This team understands our strengths come from all of us and has built that into this proposal. I want to thank you on behalf of the Berg Bid team, and thank you. We look forward to serving you.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's hear it. Berg Bid. Thank you for your time and dedication to this project. I'd be remiss if I didn't welcome Representative Lindsey Cross is in the building. Thank you for being here. And I also got a text. Councilmember Copley Gertis is watching online. His daughter had a talent show. So no more important title than father. So way to be there for your little one, Copley. All right, now it's time for our next bid. Please join me in welcoming Foundation Vision Partners.
I'll attribute the lack or lesser applause for our bid than Blake's that we didn't give out hats and t-shirts. So. Great. Okay. Amber, do you have the clicker? Oh, okay. Time will start as soon as you go. Okay, great. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody here again tonight to engage with us on the future of the historic gas plant. I'm Will Conroy, founder of Backstreets Capital, and I'd like to introduce you to my teammates, Alex Shapira, Andrew Frazier, and JJ Rivers, all of whom have been integrally involved in this site through the Hines Raise proposal. And we all collectively have intimate knowledge of the site over more than a decade of experience. Also with us here tonight is Stantec, one of the world's leading civil engineering firms who, due to space restraints, is in the audience. There's a lot of information bouncing around tonight, and a lot of thrown at you across the various groups. So just for a roadmap, we're going to talk about three things. First, we're going to address the challenge and the opportunity. Next, we're going to talk about our plan, which is fundamentally different than everything else you will hear tonight and have heard for the last several decades. And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit about the proof, about how other municipalities have adopted the approach that we are recommending in a way that has led to incredible community benefits. So Foundation Vision Partners is here tonight to offer a new way forward, where we outline a process that keeps the 86 acres in control of the city and not turned over to a single developer based upon a glitzy proposal. We as a city have tried that multiple times, and frankly, it doesn't work. So we begin in earnest tonight by asking ourselves some real, hard, honest, and frank questions. Are we as a city, once again, going to hand the keys, all of them, to a single private developer? Are we as a city, once again, going to try a strategy that has failed, somewhat spectacularly, 3 times before? Are we as a city, once again, going to take undue risk that nothing happens on this site? Or, as we propose, does the community choose a different path, one that keeps the city firmly in control, puts the community in the driver's seat, and finally delivers the neighborhood that our great city deserves? My friends, we think the answer are very clear.
It's worth saying it out loud. 86 acres, nearly 15% of the downtown area. There's nothing like this site in all of Florida. This is sacred ground. It was the heart of a thriving and unified Black community, and today it is our westernmost gateway to downtown, the first impression for every visitor that visits our great city. The opportunity in front of us is generational, and yet so is the responsibility. I firmly believe that what the city chooses to do with this neighborhood will define the next chapter of St. Petersburg. Before we talk about the solution, it's worth understanding how we got to another round of RFPs. In 2007, a $450 million waterfront stadium was proposed. The global financial crisis hit, plans halted, and the site remained untouched. In 2020 and 2021, the city issued an RFP for a mixed-use development without and with a stadium. Multiple bids came in, the preferred proposal was selected, and then it was discontinued. The economics had changed, city priorities had changed, and the city moved on. In 2022, we tried yet again, this time a $6 billion stadium-anchored mixed-use development. Multiple bids received, years of intensive negotiations, which I was previously a part of. And in early 2025, the deal had collapsed, and yet again, nothing to show for it. And now, in 2026, we are right back at the starting line, right back at the Coliseum, being asked once again to pick a single master developer. 3 times, 3 completely different contexts, different economic cycles, different development partners, different politics, in the same outcome. That, ladies and gentlemen, I would argue is not bad luck. That is reflective of a structural problem with the process itself. And the problem is this: when you bundle everything into an all-or-nothing single developer deal, where one development entity is responsible for designing the master plan, for designing all of the infrastructure and building all of the infrastructure, and then delivering 40-some-odd buildings on a 86-acre site, you create a single point of failure. One market fluctuation, one financing contingency, one developer contingency, one political shift, and we start all over again here at the Coliseum. St. Petersburg cannot afford another false start.
Our plan is clear and it is really simple. And I want to outline for you what we propose to do as a group, as Foundation Vision Partners, and be real clear about what we will not do. We have a 4-step process that we would advise and guide the city through. We would not own any land in this proposal. Instead, in step 1, we would co-create a master plan led by JJ's team at Gensler, which is one of the world's leading architectural firms with experience across the country in urban master planning, to co-create a master plan that would guide the future build-out of the entire 86 acres. Second, we as Foundation Vision Partners would design, permit, and construct the horizontal infrastructure on the site. Horizontal infrastructure sounds like a cliche word, but these are all the boring, non-sexy items that are prerequisites for vertical development. Think stormwater, drainage, streets, sidewalks, and to the extent that the master plan determines it, public parks and public spaces. Once the horizontal infrastructure is installed and complete, we would turn over development-ready pads to the city. And in the 4th step, the city would then manage a process where they would dispose of the parcels in a sale to the market, and parcels would be sold based upon community needs at that time and consistent with the master plan. In summary, our proposal is a public-private partnership in which the city retains land ownership and all decision-making authority, while FVP delivers the master plan, builds the infrastructure, and ensures district cohesion. Our plan is really that simple.
Every benefit of our proposal is a direct response to the learnings from the prior 3 proposals. Number 1, control and adaptability. Under our proposal, the city retains ownership of the land and therefore decision-making authority. With that control, the city can incorporate ongoing community input and community priorities over the next 15 to 20-year build-out period. Number 2, probability of success. The probability of success increases dramatically under a master plan and infrastructure-first approach. No more putting all of our eggs in one basket, no more single point of failure. Under our proposal, the city engages with multiple developers across multiple parcels, dramatically decreasing the risk for the city. Number 3, critically, fiscal returns. St. Petersburg captures full market land value, directing $510 million into public coffers instead of delivering windfall profits to a single developer. Number 4, diversified participation. Because we are breaking down the projects into parcel-by-parcel developments, local St. Petersburg businesses and developers will be able to compete. This strategy naturally breaks down barriers to participation and keeps profits in St. Petersburg. Critically, it also means that the other proposers here tonight, ARC, the Housing Authority, Blake, can all participate in the vertical development. What we are simply arguing is that we should not hand over the keys to an 86-acre site to one entity. Number 5, speed to market. There is no multi-year development agreement negotiation needed with our plan. The city retains the land. We will see progress in master planning and infrastructure in the near term. And importantly, we will never be back at the starting line. There will always be progress. And last, but certainly not least, relevant experience. Our team has intimate knowledge of the site from past proposals. That knowledge and the community relationships we forged over 3 years will give us a head start.
Thank you, Alex. With our proposal, there is no preset master plan. There are no predetermined targets for business participation, workforce development, or affordable housing. The processes that transformed the historic gas plant district from the unified village that it once was into what the land has become today neglected the voices of the city's most valuable stakeholders, the community. Today, we learn from our mistakes and begin this conversation with you. Before any land is transferred to a single developer, our process co-creates a master plan with the community under the guidance of Gensler. Once the master plan has been approved, we can maximize local participation in the design and construction of the infrastructure under the guidance of the city's inclusive procurement program. Since the city owns all 86 acres and the project can be dispositioned in bite-sized portions that are more accessible for local and diverse investment and participation, we can maximize involvement from the citizens and businesses of our local community. This means not only job creation, but also ownership and equity opportunities for all of our local businesses, small, minority, and women-owned, greatly reducing barriers to entry such as investment capital, insurance, bonding, and workforce capacity. Most importantly, this allows for sustainable and organic growth of local businesses over time, the duration of the project, phase over phase, for the life of the development. Some may ask, how does the community stay involved in a sustainable process? Where is the community benefit coming from? How can this proposal evolve with the needs of the community over time? While there are currently processes in place that can advise on community benefits, we believe those current processes are susceptible to external factors that are outside of the community's control. Through case studies that we will discuss a little later, there are proven models that are not only successful in fulfilling inclusive development and community needs, but most importantly, they are sustainable. What we are prescribing is self-sustaining advisory council or CDC model that is comprised of neighborhood, community, civic, and business leaders, all funded from the proceeds of the land disposition. This body would advise the city on the disposition of parcels once they are ready for vertical development, continually evaluate the city's needs as it relates to affordable housing, workforce development, small business incubation, and environmental sustainability while deploying the necessary capital to achieve the goals this body puts in place. This organization will belong to the community and be less susceptible to socio-political factors. Choosing this process is a way forward for all of us, including every developer that is presenting here this evening. This bottom-up approach will be the foundation of what is needed to advance the interests of the citizens of St. Pete and is in strong alignment with the city's inclusion plan. Community engagement should lead this process, not serve as an afterthought as it has in the past.
What's going on, everyone? So as a designer, it's in my DNA to vision, to think, to put pretty pictures up on a screen. But you know what I've learned over my time as a master planner, as an architect, is that design, at its best and at its core, is done in a collaborative way. So what you're not seeing in this presentation is a bunch of pretty pictures, a flashy video showing 80-story towers. And the answer is clear. It's because you haven't been involved. Too often, the community is left out of the design process. You are left out of the design process. And what our proposal does is set the framework for every single development that comes down the road to have your voice heard. We'll set it before. Desires change in communities, markets shift, things happen, hurricanes occur. To propose a vision of 86 acres that will take 30, 40, 50 years to come to fruition is irresponsible. We have to work together, and our process, because that's what we're selling here tonight, a new process, puts you all in control. Community-led, city-controlled, with us as advisors. And what I'm excited about is thinking through how we create a master plan that ensures a vibrant, rich, diverse community down the road. And that can only happen if you all are involved every single step of the way. Not one time when we're setting out a vision, but every single time. And that's what this process puts forward. And best of yet, this is not a new process. We've had the ability to do this across the country in incredibly successful ways. The 4 proposals that you see behind me now are successful examples across the country where this exact model has been tested and has been successful. You know, we were involved in Pittsburgh and Lower Hill, and it's been an incredibly important project because the community comes first. You all come first. And that's really what we're trying to get across here. If we want a successful, adaptable, and flexible future, we have to start in a very different way today.
So as I promised you a few minutes ago when we started, there'd be a lot of information thrown at you tonight, and we're only, a little less than halfway through. But if you don't mind, I'd like to spend a minute just rehashing the difference between our suggested process and the other proposals that you've heard and will hear from tonight. So in the others, the city cedes control of the land at the signing of a development agreement. Under the FVP system, the city retains land control until they ultimately decide to sell the development-ready parcels. The others require a prolonged negotiation of a development agreement, which in the past experience has taken upwards of 18 months. FVP promises immediate action and continual progress. The others shower windfall profits on a single developer based upon land appreciation and land control. In the FVP's plan, the city captures the full upside of all land sales, which we estimate would be well north of $500 million. The others lock the city into a single developer and a single developer-driven deal for many decades, while FVP provides adaptability to move with both the community and the market as things shift. The other plans restrict participation, rightfully so, to the needs and whims of the single developer who owns the land. FVP allows for diversified participation, and the intention is that the majority of the profits would be kept local through local participation. So finally, I want to finish with one thought for all of you. And the redevelopment of the historic gas plant is a generational project that demands responsiveness to multiple generations of our great city's residents. Our plan will grow and evolve with the needs of our city. There are 8-year-olds on the playgrounds at Campbell Park today who will participate as decision makers, as developers, and as owners in the future phases of this development. And that is exactly how it should be. We look forward to answering any of your questions tonight in the Q&A and also engaging with all of you in the weeks to come and the months to come, and we thank you for your time.
All right, thank you again for your time and dedication to this project. We sincerely appreciate it. Next up, our third group. Y'all make some noise for Pinellas County Housing Authority.
You guys gonna stand? Yeah, stand. Good evening, everybody. My name's Neil Brickfield. I'm the Executive Director of the Pinellas County Housing Authority. And let me answer the question I've been asked all night. Why is the Pinellas County Housing Authority got a bid in? Well, we built our first affordable housing project in Pinellas County in 1967. Last night, we housed approximately 8,200 people in clean, safe, decent, quality, affordable housing. And about 3,000 of those people were our low-income seniors. And we're going to talk a little bit about mission and values and a little bit about our project. Is that okay with everyone? Nice. Okay. Our mission, provide quality, affordable housing and improve the lives of residents. Our vision is we aim to set the standard for affordable housing in Pinellas County, and we believe that everybody deserves a quality place to live. Yes? Our project is not 86 acres. Our project is about 6/10 of an acre with a very specific purpose. Our project is to build 80 low-income senior units with a preference for people who were displaced from the historic gas plant district. And I know what you might be thinking. Can these guys pull it off? Well, we picked a very specific team, Ascension Realty, Atlantic Pacific Companies, and our architect isn't up here, Mr. Hammond, BDG. Right now, affordability or affordable housing is a need. Would everybody agree? And right now, as we stand here, we have 430 new affordable and workforce housing units being built in the city of St. Petersburg. In fact, if you go over to our alcove, There's a QR code, and if you're interested in one of those units, please use the QR code to get on their interest list. Now, I'm going to turn this over to John Barquette, and he's going to tell you how we got here.
Thank you very much. John Barquette, I have been here for over a quarter of a century in the city that we all love. I see a lot of familiar faces tonight. Yes, we've been down this road multiple times. And yes, what Neil is saying is absolutely true. What you're hearing right now about this particular project is extremely unique, and we're going to explain why. But we really felt before we get into the project, we thought it was more important to talk up front about the history, because what we're talking about is promises that were made and not kept. So, why this matters is, the gas plant has a rich history. It was a community, and a lot of what you hear, whether it's keyboard warriors or all of the email blasts that we get repetitively on a daily basis, refers to it as the land. And it's more than land. I have a 38-year analytical background, and when I look at it, if we're just looking at land and return, that's highest and best use. And that doesn't include why you guys are all sitting in the audience right now. We're here because we love St. Pete, but we all recognize that there were promises that were not kept. So with that rich history of the historic gas plant, there was also a history of displacement. So, we had families that were forced to leave. And just think about that for a minute. What we're talking about is really bringing housing to the community for the most vulnerable population. And we're looking at it as, we have seniors on fixed incomes. We have rising housing costs with a risk of even more people being displaced and pushed out of our communities. We have seniors right now, people that literally have to make a difficult decision between, do I pay my rent, do I pay for health care, or do I pay for food, let alone is that food even healthy? And that's a whole nother topic. But this site sits at an intersection of history that must be acknowledged, and a need that requires action today. So we've heard about timelines. There's been multiple references to how long it takes to navigate, how long it takes to navigate this process. Even before you get into a development agreement, we need to go through, it's input from you all as the public. It's our Community Benefits Advisory Council. It's council before you even get into a 12 to 18 month drawn out development agreement negotiation. So what you're seeing right now, really great illustration of why this site is very unique. So the bold lines that you see in blue and red identify the 86 acres that we keep hearing about. The little star that you see that is not in the 86 acres was never part of TROP 1.0, TROP 2.0, TROP 2.5. It was picked up as an afterthought in an unsolicited offer in order to attack basically units that were promised to be built on site within the historic gas plant. That's important, and if you look at timelines, that was August of 2022. Fast forward, the unsolicited offer that you see on the right-hand side from the Rays and Hines was intentional, and it was very smart, right? It was a very smart way to attack an issue that we all know we need right now. What makes it really interesting, though, is that it makes this site unique, because this site is something that is actionable right now. So we don't need to wait. The site stands on its own, and that's a really important fact. This is urban infill at its finest. It is impactful. We are talking about 0.58 acres. So I'm going to get my math geek out on you. 0.58 acres compared to the 86 acres is 0.65% of the overall master plan that we're talking about. The amount of units that we originally proposed and are proposing is 80 units, and we're working on more units, but those 80 units, if you compare those to the 600 units that were promised to be built in the entirety of the Rays Hines proposal as an example, on site as opposed to the 600 that were mitigated, was 13.5% of the total units to be built. We're going to bring them to market in a matter of years. That was a commitment to build them in a matter of decades. And this is deeply, deeply affordable housing. So again, it does not need to wait. You know, let's show, you know, how this team can get you there, because there's questions about the ability to perform. What I want you to see right now is our team listening to what the community has said they want, and proof, not promises. So what you're going to see when you look around, you guys have put on some, you know, great displays. There's more to come. We're not the flash and the sizzle. That's not what it's about. We're not pretty pictures, but, you know, we've got built, occupied, and operating deeply affordable housing right here in St. Petersburg, in Pinellas County. And what you're going to see now on the screen is an extremely recent example of that.
Across St. Petersburg and Pinellas County, affordable housing is more than a need. It's a foundation for stability, dignity, and community.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Chloe Firebaugh, and I'm the chair of the Pinellas County Housing Authority's Board of Commissioners. Thank you for joining us today for this special milestone. Heritage Oaks is fully occupied, and that tells us something important. The need is real, and the work matters. Home is where dignity is protected. Home is where independence is supported. Home is where people feel safe, respected, and connected. At Heritage Oaks, home means a place where seniors can age with stability, comfort, and pride.
My name is Yvette, and I'm a resident here at Heritage Oaks. My journey here started about 18 months ago when I could no longer afford to live in my apartment because of fixed income. I began to do research, and really there's just not very many options. Submitted my application, and about a couple weeks later I received notice in the mail to come to an appointment with my documentation to see if I met criteria. And I did. They even allowed me to choose my unit.
Through partnerships and long-term commitment, Pinellas County Housing Authorities have delivered communities designed for quality living. At Heritage Oaks in Largo, seniors now have a place to call home, safe, affordable, and connected. The history of the historic gas plant district is one of resilience and unfinished opportunity. This proposal is about continuing that story by creating housing that reconnects people to community. For many seniors, affordability isn't a preference, it's a necessity. Housing is more than a roof. It's security, dignity, and most importantly, peace of mind. This is what it looks like when housing works. These are not just buildings. These are communities. Places where people feel safe, places where people feel connected, places where people feel at home. Our mission is to provide quality, affordable housing and improve the lives of residents.
I don't know, John. I thought our pictures are pretty.
Yeah.
So I'll get a little bit into the nuts and bolts of what we're proposing here. As Neil and John said, we've been working with Brian Hammond and BDG Architects to bring forward a plan that, again, focuses on the dignity of the place and the residents that we're hoping to build a community for. So more than 80 units of affordable housing, 7 stories. You can see the rendering on the screen. And what we're really looking to deliver is something that is going beyond affordable housing and is actually a more holistic approach in attainable housing. And it's something that leverages the proximity to the Pinellas Trail, to the Central Avenue corridor, and being centrally located for those senior families in St. Petersburg. And hopefully from the other good things that are going to come out of the 86 acres that surround us. And I think that our units are also very generously sized and appropriate for the community that's going to be living there. John, do you want to talk sort of about the context that we're creating?
Yeah, sure. what I would say is having, gone through this process, I actually, we're in a different time right now. I grew up literally in a multi-generational house with my grandparents on the second floor. That doesn't exist. People can't afford that anymore. And a lot of people, they just don't have the wherewithal. What we're designing is something that people have that is their own, that is at a higher level. I think you can see from what you saw with Heritage Oaks, this isn't what you anticipate for affordable housing. It's to another level. So yes, absolutely designed with dignity. Yeah.
So get to go back into nuts and bolts talk. We want to make sure that what we're presenting here is also very actionable and deliverable, because we think there's a great opportunity here to really fulfill the promises unkept on a timeline that is something that we can actually see on the horizon. And we think that the partnership that we've created here is one that's especially able to leverage that ability. So talking a little bit about Atlantic Pacific communities and Atlantic Pacific companies, this is something we specialize in, and public-private partnerships aren't the easiest things to accomplish. So 86 acres, very, very complicated. 0.6 acres, also still going to be very complicated. The numbers on here are emblematic of our focus on actually fulfilling the promises. And I think it's pretty telling that almost half of the affordable housing units that we've delivered nationally, and we've delivered in California, the Washington, D.C. area, Texas, and all across Florida. We're headquartered here in Florida. Have been with housing authority partnerships, and we really think that they are the people that understand the local communities and the needs of those local communities, and we bring the expertise to actually bring those units online, to deliver those communities, and to create those communities that really enrich the fabric of the cities that we were in.
Oh, but you were good. So I'd say in the first hour, in looking around, probably 30% of you I've shared this room with before. We've been here for prayer breakfast. We've been here for NAACP, black tie galas. We've been here for prize fights. But most importantly and most poignantly, we were all here in late December of 2023, when the Community Benefits Advisory Council was having their culmination of public outreach so that you all were heard, as to what were the real pain points. What did you want to see? And, in doing so, they came up with a term sheet that took the development agreement in the form that it was in and really put teeth into it and put brackets around it and put performance clauses into it. And, what you're seeing in this slide right here is really the left-hand side are direct takeaways from that community benefits term sheet that was put together and taken from multiple sessions of public outreach. What you see on the right is how our project checks the box for every single one of them. So we really, we know that this is extremely important. We're not just building something new. We're doing something differently. We're doing something intentionally. We've talked about, you hear about public-private partnerships. I've worked with the city on multiple. We're building, parks together. We're using funds that were won for Reconnecting Community grants to restitch, communities that have been bifurcated for decades back together. This, it's not just about building districts. It's about connecting districts and, fixing what was broken and people that were displaced. So this is about making sure that the people that we keep hearing about that are always part of the story, they need to be more than the story. They need to be part of the future. And that's what this project allows. So this is a responsibility that we take very seriously.
Thanks, John. I'm back. So why us? We meet a need, don't we? We meet the community benefits that have been spelled out. We just showed you that. We know what we're doing. Do you guys remember how many units we're building today in St. Pete? 430. 30, very good. You're an excellent audience. And if you're a person or a family that was displaced by the from the historic gas plant district, we invite you to sign up on this QR code for our interest and alert. You're going to be alerted when the mayor recommends us. You're going to be alerted when the Community Benefits Committee passes us. You're going to be alerted when the City Council approves us. You're going to be alerted before the application process opens so you can be ready. And most of all, I see it as if it's happening right now. You are all going to be invited to our ribbon cutting. This community made a promise to residents. And when we cut that ribbon, that will be proof that this community keeps our promises, won't it?
Thank you so much for your dedication and time to this project. Pinellas County Housing Authority. Yeah, there you go. Again, we can clap. We're having fun tonight. And for our final presentation, please join me in welcoming Ark Ellison Horace. And just a reminder, we do have the QR code on the screen. Please use that to submit your questions. This will be the final group, and then we will go into our Q&A session. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan Graham. I'm the owner of Horace Construction. And right now, people talk about remembering, but I'd like anyone who was a descendant or relatives of a descendant of the gas plant area district, please stand up. Please be recognized. There we go. Everyone comes and they talk about what they're going to do for the gas plant area and to remember it, but I grew up in the gas plant area, and fortunately I have my mother and father who are in the audience, 92 and 93 years old, who raised me there. And a part of our team, we have 10 people that are a part of our team that are descendants of the gas plant area. So just talking about what we can do and remembering is different than being a part of it and helping mold it through getting the right partners. You see, before we talk about what's being built here, we definitely need to talk about what was here. Not really as a history lesson, but really as a foundation for everything that we're going to do. Really, this area, this land has a story. Before it was a dome, before there were concrete and parking lots and everything around, there was a neighborhood. It was this gas plant district, a place where people just didn't live, they built lives. Families planted roots, literally. They planted roots. Mango trees, guava, sugarcane in their yards. Religious edifices were on every corner. Black-owned businesses were thriving. There was music, there was laughter, there was culture filling the streets. It wasn't just a neighborhood, it was a self-sustaining community. Really a city within a city. And then over time, it was taken apart, piece by piece. As you remember, a highway was cut through it, homes were displaced, promises were made, then those promises were replaced. What took generations to build was gone in years. We're not here to look at the past. We're here because of the past. So let's be clear. This is not a blank slate. This is not just a development. This is a responsibility to the community. It's about restoration and belonging. To the investors who may be you sitting out there, it's about building something that lasts because it's rooted in truth. The strongest developments don't ignore history, they build from history. That's why this project doesn't start with profit. It starts with people. It starts with you and you. Affordable housing comes first, not later, not eventually, but first. Names of the past that if you were around, you can remember, like Flagman and Dunmore and Webb City, Woodson. Those names are not hidden. They're built into the future. Opportunity here isn't really just a talking point. No, the way that our team has done it, it's structured, it's measurable, it's enforceable. Because inclusion should not be a promise, it should be a system. This isn't about recreating what is being honored. It's about building forward. It's about honoring it. So now, let me ask you this question. What does that look like? It looks like a district that remembers and reimagines. The Harlem Theater, where we'll have a world-class venue. Then it was a stage where culture lived, even when it was excluded everywhere else. That's what that Harlem Theater did. But now, a venue where the same culture is amplified, not limited. A place where the world shows up, but never forgets where it started. Innovation Hall, community elevated. Then it was a space where people gathered, connected, shared experiences. Now, a place that hosts the world while still belonging to you, the community. Green spaces. Then it was parks, porches, kids running between yards. Now, 42 acres designed for the same rhythm of life. Not as an amenity, as a return. What we're really proud of is the Unity Arch. That whole area that disconnected us, that Unity Arch will reconnect us. A structure that reconnects it. We can't undo what was done, but we can build something that reconnects us. So yes, we want this to be a global destination, but also on Tuesday morning or Saturday afternoon, this place is for the people who live here. Food trucks, local vendors, kids playing, neighbors connecting. We're not just building here structures, we're building trust. At this time, the promise is simple for us: to build something that remembers, includes, and truly lasts. So to get into the deep dive of it, let's ask Tim with Baker Berrios, a world-renowned master planner, to come and talk about it.
Thank you, Jonathan. Really appreciate those were some awesome opening remarks. I want to thank you all for coming this evening. I want to let you know I'm completely honored to have this opportunity to share with you our vision of our master plan that we've been working on over the last several months. Our plan is designed to support an integrated ecosystem, bringing together housing, innovation, jobs, and culture into a vibrant new neighborhood. The program for the gas plant is over 3,900 residential units, with 1,900 of those units being affordable, workforce, and senior living. 446 of those units, those affordable units, will be built in the first 1,000 days of our project. Our plan makes a strong commitment to history and the arts and includes the Woodson Museum, the Unity Arch Museum, and the Cultural Arts Hotel. Innovation, work, and education is embedded throughout the plan with over 750,000 square feet of academic space, 1.1 million square feet of corporate office space, a 500,000 square foot Meta Center, and a 200,000 square foot innovation hall. The district is the community's playground with over 1,500 hotel units, 22,000 square feet of destination retail, 80,000 square feet of entertainment, and over 42 acres of open space and park space within the development. Thank you. Our plan is focused on rebuilding the neighborhood, and it begins with reconnecting the city's street grid through the district and stitching the neighborhood back together. With this framework, we are creating a world-class neighborhood, one that is diverse, activated 24/7, and grounded in how people truly live. The cultural backbone for our district is its open space. At the center of the plan is a central park organized around historic structures that become the heart and the living room for the community. Booker Creek is also reimagined as a continuous linear park extending through the district, up and over the highway, and reconnecting South Central neighborhood back into the district. With this bridge over the highway, it is a symbol of unity for our project and for the community. It includes a museum that sits beneath it and underneath the arches, celebrating the people and the history who made this place. Together, these parks create shaded, walkable connections, forming the heart and the identity of the district, serving as a stage for community life. In our plan, there's something for everyone. There's a continuum of housing from affordable to market rate that supports a very diverse community. There's research and education that drives innovation and creates a talent pipeline for our community. This talent pipeline feeds into our corporate cluster and creates thousands of high-wage jobs. Innovation is embedded throughout the plan, anchored by the Meta Center in the Innovation Hall. This is a place to be where open space and livable streets are activated with entertainment, food and beverage, and experiences that bring the community together. In closing, we are delivering a district that honors its history. It's walkable, layered, designed at the human experience. A place to raise a family, to build friendships, to grow careers, and to thrive. A neighborhood filled with joy, connections, life's most meaningful moments. This is more than buildings and streets. It's a place, a neighborhood that grows and evolves and enhances the quality of life for all of St. Pete's residents. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, I'm Casey Ellison, CEO of Ellison Development. This is Paul Wilson, CFO and CSO of ARK Invest. And we're going to talk about how we're approaching ownership differently. Not symbolic participation, but real participation. With the ARK Ellison Community Growth Fund, we are building a blockchain-based structure that gives community members a distributed stake in this district. With minimum investments as low as $500, the community members can invest directly into the district, so that when this district succeeds, the community succeeds. Not just through access, through ownership. This community will not just benefit from the future, they will own a piece of it.
So now compare that to what we have today. Compare that to the alternative. For example, a stadium mostly recycles money that is already here. Local spending on the game instead of spending elsewhere in the community. Research has consistently shown that that's exactly what happens when you do not build with intention. Most of that spending is simply shifting from one pocket to another. The model that you've already heard about and that you will hear more about is different. It works differently. Our model is specifically designed to pull money in that otherwise wouldn't be here or wouldn't come to St. Pete at all. New visitors staying in hotels, new businesses choosing to locate here, new entrepreneurs starting new businesses, new investors that have no current connection with the city. That's genuine economic activity, not a shuffle. That translates in our estimate to $28 billion in economic output for this region over the course of the project and beyond. We estimate over 30 years. And for the city's $120 million commitment that we're asking, we're projecting $239 million in direct infrastructure improvements, streets, utilities, public spaces that benefit the city long after the ribbon cutting. The question, we think, isn't just what gets built, it's who benefits from it being built here.
Now let's talk jobs. Nearly 20,000 jobs are created within this development. Over 5,000 during the construction process alone, and 14,500 permanent roles that stay in the community long after the cranes come down. More than 60% of those permanent jobs pay above the median income. We're talking about careers, not just jobs, in fields that have historically left this community behind. Jobs that pay between $80,000 and $120,000 a year. Not seasonal work, not part-time, careers with a future. During the construction phase, we are committing to 40% local and minority participation. This is required. This is not a goal. It's written into how this project was structured from the beginning. And we're putting public accountability behind it so this community can hold us to it. Public accountability starts at the beginning. We're building an advisory board with real representation across all neighborhoods. And every commitment we make, including the 40% participation requirement, will be tracked on a public real-time dashboard. So anyone in the community can see exactly where we stand at any point in time over the life of the project. Becca?
Thank you, Casey. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm Becca Brown, the CEO of Spark Labs by ARK Invest at the ARK Innovation Center here in St. Petersburg. Every day, we work with founders who are building across artificial intelligence, robotics, energy, blockchain, and health. And these companies aren't just imagining the future, they're building it right here. The gas plant district represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity, not just to develop land, but to define what's possible when an inclusive, innovation-centric community comes together. And that's important because innovation should not be built around this community. It should be built for, with, and by this community. At Spark Labs, we are building the infrastructure of that future. From AI tools that help our city move faster, like an AI-powered permitting platform, to a robotics lab that gives real access to emerging technologies, to entrepreneurship program that create real pathways for our next generation of entrepreneurs right here. But we must acknowledge the history of this community. Innovation here is intentional. It must create access. It must create opportunity for those who were displaced to be part of what comes next. And if we do this right, we have an opportunity to be a model for the nation to show what's possible when innovation, access, and community come together to create opportunities that are real, shared, and visible for everyone. Our city, our future. Thank you.
Woo.
Thank you once again, Mayor, for being here, and all the other dignitaries here, and the community. It's so great to see this community here for this event. We're a real community. You don't see this sort of thing in many other cities. So I think many of you know I and ARC moved here in 2021. We chose St. Pete because we thought we could make a difference. We thought we could contribute. And we have. ARC has 35 employees here, nearly half of whom were St. Pete residents to begin with, and more are coming every month. We started an education effort in the middle school to inspire middle school students with these new technologies to approach the future with great optimism and joy. And I'd like to think that our moving from a B school district to an A school district had a little bit to do with us, maybe a little bit. We know it was a long time in the works, but we were happy to be there and celebrate with the district. And then, of course, the Innovation Center, as Becca just described. It is so exciting to see the occupancy go from 25% when she joined us not even a year ago to 100%. 46 new startups who are involved in, as Becca said, AI, robotics, energy, blockchain technology, multiomic sequencing, so the healthcare space. These are the jobs of the future, and they are going to come here. They are going to come here partly because this is such a beautiful canvas for it to happen. So when the Rays decided to leave, yes? Oh, I didn't see time. My time is up. Anyway, no, it's okay. It's okay. I didn't see the clock. I was taking my time, and in the Q&A, I will get you.
Thank you. Please give it up one more time. ARC, Ellison, Horace. So we're going to transition over to our Q&A now. Just give us a minute or two. We're going to get the clock reset. And we're going to get the QR code is up there for any last minute questions. We're going to get that set up, and then we'll get right into that. Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and start with our Q&A. If we could have the teams, whoever's going to represent the teams up front, please. We could start finding our seats. We have 30 minutes left. So let's get through these questions. They are very important questions. I know people want to get some answers. So again, if we could have the teams, whatever team members you'd like up here representing your team, come on up and we're going to start asking some questions. All right, once again, the teams, please come up front. Everyone else, if we could please have a seat. There'll be time afterwards for pictures and discussion, but we want to get through these questions. So each team come up front, right up front up here. Each team has been given one microphone, so you can pass it on to whoever you'd like to answer the question.
All right, we've got our first question for all four teams. Again, if each team has 2 minutes to answer. Our first question for all four teams, and these again came from the community here. Exactly how much dollar value are you asking from the city, county, state, and other public entities for your project in both cash and non-cash investments, including land donations, infrastructure support, grants, tax abatements, etc.? So that's for each team, please.
So we're going to start with ARC. You have 2 minutes, 2 minutes only to answer. We're going to start with ARC, go alphabetical, and then we will reverse it for the next question. ARC, it is your 2 minutes. Beth, could you repeat that one more time?
Yes. Exactly how much dollar value are you asking from the city, county, state, and other public entities for your project in both cash and non-cash investments, including land donations, infrastructure support, tax abatements, et cetera?
So we are asking for $120 million from the city to seed the infrastructure. And what that money returns back to the city is about $400 million of public infrastructure that will be, the ownership will be retained by the city. That, so there is a good return on that money. We are also talking to the state, the Unity Bridge. The FDOT is partnering with us to help fund the Unity Bridge over the I-75 spur.
Next, Berg bid.
Me?
Berg.
There we go. In our proposal, we are only asking for direct infrastructure funding from the CRA that already exists. What the infrastructure budget comes out to, we'll determine that publicly, ask for it from the CRA. That is the only public funding we're asking for.
Next up, Foundation Vision Partners.
So remember, our proposal is different than the others in that we are not asking for any money for ourselves or for our proposal. What we anticipate is that the city in phase one, which is all the land east of Booker Creek, will invest $70 million approximately of its own money into its own land. So there is no capital or no funding that is given to Foundation Vision Partners. It is money that the city invests in itself, such that when those parcels are developed and the infrastructure is put in place and ultimately sold, the city reaps all of the benefits of those land sales, whatever they may be.
And Pinellas County Housing.
Hi, everybody. Neil Brickfield, Pinellas County Housing Authority. So when we build affordable housing, and we have how many in this city being built? Nice. When we do that, we do it a combination of HUD loans, project-based vouchers. We're asking for a ground lease for this property, bonds and tax credits, and usually there's a local government contribution. We know that mostly as pennies for Pinellas. We won't know what that contribution is until we sort through all the other ones to see where we're at.
Thank you. We'll go on to the next question. Just a reminder, each group, you have 2 minutes to answer. It's not 2 minutes for the entire question. So you can take 2 minutes per group to answer that question. Beth?
All right, thank you so much. How many affordable and workforce housing units has your team delivered in St. Pete and Pinellas County? We know the answer for that. Is your team guaranteeing to build affordable and workforce housing, or will there be an opt-out clause? And the final portion of this question, what percentage is affordable versus workforce housing?
Well, let's see. We have a mission to provide quality, affordable housing and improve the lives of residents. We do not build anything except quality, affordable housing. So there is no opt-out for this. There's just success. And everybody's invited to the ribbon cutting, correct?
Foundation, you're up.
So the number of units that are built, the set-asides, the opt-out clauses will be determined by the people sitting in this room. As part of the master plan, both today and into the future for subsequent phases of the vertical development, it is the city and the capital C community that will make those determinations, both at time of the initial master plan adoption and then in subsequent phases. Because remember, as part of our plan, as the city sells parcels in the future, it can dictate and change the use case for that individual parcel based upon the community needs at that time.
Berg bid.
Good evening. My name is Sean Wilson. I'm the president of Blue Sky Communities, and we are your hometown affordable housing developer based in St. Petersburg. We're up in the Carillon area. And as many of you know, we have already built several affordable housing developments in the city of St. Petersburg totaling about 589 units. Recently, we have 2 phases of Skyway Lofts, which is on 34th Street at 38th Avenue and 39th Avenue. We have Bear Creek Commons, which is sort of on the border with Gulfport. And we even have roots going back 3 generations, back to the 60s, and I don't remember the names of those developments, but in 1971, my partner and his father developed Rio Vista. I don't know if that was the name of it back in 1971. That's about 300 units on 4th Street and 72nd, 74th Ave, right in that area. And we have like I said, more than a 50-year, a 3-generation commitment to affordable housing. We know how to bring the state resources, the federal resources, to the question of how much money are we going to need. I'll harken back to that a little bit.
And that's 2 minutes. Sorry, that's 2 minutes.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep. Art, go ahead.
Okay, all right. So based on the proposal that we submitted in October, the total number of homes that are being built are 3,701 units. Of that, 863 are affordable between 30 and 80% of AMI. 618 are senior affordable, and there's 444 workforce units, which are between 80 and 120% of AMI. And then beyond that, there's, the rest of the makeup is, 1,700 market rate units. What that means in percentage terms is that all of these units, number one, are going to be on the district itself. None of them are off-site. In percentage terms, what we're talking about is approximately almost 50%, 40% of all homes are going to be strictly affordable units, and that's the 863 and 618 senior. And then if you count sort of the workforce, which is 80 to 120% of AMI, we've got 52%. So in terms of what we've done in the area, I'm going to give that to James Noser.
Yeah, our team has owned, developed, and managed almost as many affordable housing units as any other firm in the country. We manage close to 15,000 affordable housing units across the country, and in this area, in the Tampa Bay area, we've developed and own and operate close to 40 properties as well. So we have significant experience building, managing, owning, investing in workforce and affordable housing as well.
Thank you.
All right, the next question. How does your plan ensure that local small businesses will have real access to the development, both during construction and as long-term tenants? And what structural supplies are built into your development to make that viable?
We're going to start with Foundation Vision Partners, please.
Andrick Frazier, Foundation Vision Partners, thank you for the question. Because we are not buying the actual property and the city owns the 86 acres, the first procurement process, which goes into the infrastructure, has to go through the city CCNA process. That is one of the most inclusive processes that you can find from a legislative standpoint. So it absolutely has to include small, local, minority-owned businesses from the design, development, and construction standpoint. Because the city will have the opportunity to sell parcels as small as 0.6 acres up to as much as 16 or all 86 if it chooses to, it allows for scalability and for anyone that has the opportunity to actually raise capital, whether you're just trying to put in a laundromat or a high-rise building. If you have the opportunity to do so as a small business owner here locally, your bonding, your insurance, all that stuff is a lot less and easier to attain. The other part I think that's most important about our plan is Will alluded to during the presentation. There's not going to be a long process as it relates to what needs to go into the actual development agreement. So what that means is that we can start people to work here sooner than any of our competitors, number one. Number two, we also have the ability from a workforce development standpoint to have scalability across all phases of the project.
Thank you. Pinellas County Housing Authority.
I thought they cut the mic. Guys, the question is if the local business is going to be involved in our project. Has anybody here tried to hire a contractor lately? Not only are they going to be involved, we need more people to show up and work on our projects. There is not a surplus of people building right now. Everybody's struggling with contractors. So if you're living here locally and you want to work, we got projects going. We're accepting applications today. We'd be happy to have you.
All right. Berg bid.
One thing we didn't mention is our team, Blake alone, has 300 jobs that he supplies in this region. Our firm, the rest of the team, we have literally hundreds of additional jobs that we are providing alone. Now, when we get to the site, we want to make sure that we have multiple opportunities. We want to build in the micro retail, the market similar to what we did at the pier, multiple places, brick and mortar options for that. The collaboratorium, we are already bringing in partners and other partners that we can't mention today because we can't mention new things, right? But this is going to be the largest access to capital opportunity in Tampa Bay once we're done with this. And I want to talk a little bit about our fund as well.
Sure. So we have a community investment fund with a matching program so that locals can actually invest in this project. Additionally, one thing we should really note here is that a key part of our plan is that we have a massive first phase. What does that do? We have housing, office, retail, parking, all of these things that support job growth for locals on our site from the beginning.
The last thing is $3.3 billion in WMBE work. We're working with our partners that are going to have mentorship programs, that have existing programs to ensure that local community is involved in the construction of this process. We are here. We're going to make sure that happens.
Thank you. And Ark?
Yes, that was the premise of us teaming together was our small business encouragement and minority building. We were already doing this, and right from the very beginning, we figured that there would be about $7 billion that we're earmarking for the construction side, which is about 40%. But beyond just helping and giving the opportunity to the small businesses, minority businesses, we're already doing this. We have already teamed up with institutions like Job Corps that are trying to facilitate their people. Different ones, we have their First Forward program or Move Forward program that we're working with, but also the small businesses, the retail. We're looking at 15% of our retail to be targeting small businesses, those who are starting with their food trucks and want to move into something else or a small retail shop. We're targeting those too. So our...
Wait, let me...
40% during construction, which the construction, it's going to be about $7 billion that will be given if the 40%, $7 billion.
So jobs in the plan, as mentioned in the proposal, are across the spectrum of job, high wage, medium, and lower tier jobs across the entire sort of wage spectrum. So we're talking about 14,500 jobs, 60% are in the high wage, R&D, innovation, corporate headquarters, academic clusters, 21% are mid-wage, hospitality, hotel management, technical services, civic, and 19% are entry-level, retail, residential services, community-facing jobs. The distinction of ours is the innovation flywheel, the creation of new jobs here, entrepreneurship, bringing people from the outside here, and bringing those jobs here. Becca can speak to that just briefly.
That's the 2 minutes. Thank you. Next question, please.
All right. The next question, I think, is for 3 of our presenters tonight. What percentage of your development square footage will be dedicated to office space? And describe your team's pathway to providing high-paying $100,000 plus jobs in your development.
Berg bid, you're first.
Sure. So we have 1.4 million square feet of office space out of a total of about 11.7 million square feet of total space. How to bring high-wage jobs to this community. We include this office space in every single phase of our development. We start in phase 1, continue in phase 2, and go all the way to phase 3. That allows us to plan long-term for companies that want to enter this market and provide access to space to meet them where they are. When they want to be here, we will have space for them to enter.
You know, when we talked about the high-paid jobs, the partnership of the group that you have here today, you heard a lot of large numbers. This group is dedicated to being that flywheel, per se, that is creating innovation, that is creating access to capital in a way that Tampa Bay has not seen before. We have already brought the team that is going to support that. We already have the capital in hand. We are not asking for any financing. We are ready to go. We're ready to bring those jobs here.
Ark?
All right, so 14% of our development, as originally proposed, is office. So that's 14%. It doesn't include the innovation, the other aspects of it. I'm going to hand it to Becca to speak to the job creation on the high end.
Innovation creates jobs. In the last 9 months at Spark Labs, we've brought in over 45 companies, startups, and that has translated into over 75 jobs. So there's a direct correlation to innovation as a long-term flywheel to create high-paying jobs and strong economic value that is sustainable. These companies are choosing to be here. They're innovating here. We're benefiting as small business owners, as residents in this community from the benefits of these innovations. And the companies are hiring, and they're working with our local universities, and these individuals are staying here. And that's the flywheel that we're actively seeing at Spark Labs, and that we'll be able to magnify by an order of about 10 times in our proposal.
Good. Thank you. Foundation Vision Partners.
First of all, I'd like to thank all the other teams and also the community for actively engaging tonight. We heard a lot about apathy leading up to tonight, and I think the packed house tonight dispels that notion. But I want to, again, emphasize a really important distinction between the process that FEP is proposing and the other strategies that are being pursued. In our proposal, we do the horizontal development. We de-risk the vertical development component for all three of the groups standing up here. And we would fully anticipate, frankly, I think we'd hope, that whether it's the collaboratorium, whether it's the innovation lab, whether it's senior housing, that once we do our work, that all of the great ideas you're hearing from the other competitors tonight would in fact be incorporated in the development that happens vertically. That those ideas are really impactful and important for our community. Like Blake, I've spent a lot of time as an entrepreneur in the city creating jobs, and it's the most meaningful thing that we do as residents of St. Pete. So under our proposal, the job creation ideas from both Blake and the ARC plan, which are really, really good ideas, can be implemented once we finish our horizontal infrastructure work.
Thank you.
All right, the next question for all our developers or proposers, please share how your proposal connects to adjacent neighborhoods. Specifically, how does your design promote healthy, active, and safe connectivity?
We'll start with Pinellas County Housing Authority.
Good evening. So, we didn't pick that 0.6 of an acre by just throwing a dart at a map. We picked it very specifically. Why? It's about to be connected to the Pinellas County Trail. It's got access to downtown, got access to transportation. It's built with our partner, Evera Healthcare, is going to have a health clinic on site. So we took health and connectivity and put it at the top of our list. Downtown St. Pete is not going to be the downtown St. Pete we see today. As it grows, our project is going to be connected to the entire neighborhood. And let's not discount, I think it was 40 years ago, people were asked to leave or told to leave. And our project is specifically designed to welcome them home.
Next up, Foundation.
Hi, everyone. I just want to reinforce something that's been said through our partnership before. You're not seeing pretty pictures with massive buildings or massive public parks or anything because you haven't been part of the process to date within our plan. So when we talk about horizontal infrastructure, it's kind of a stale word, but it basically means what is the public realm experience that we all want? And we have a very robust idea about how to do community engagement first, so that we're thinking about cohesion between the existing communities today and what will come next on this site. And as Will just mentioned, we expect every single group up here, you all out in the community, to be part of that future, developing together, because connection and cohesion is one of the most important things that we can do to create vibrant, mixed-use experiences that are flexible enough over time. Because remember, this is a 20, 30, 40, 50-year project that we're talking about. As your all needs shift, doing the horizontal infrastructure first allows us for flexibility to create the connections that we know we need today, but more importantly, set us up for the connections that we don't know about what we need for the future.
Ark?
So leading up to our proposal, we spent probably 8 months talking about how to make sure that this community touches all of its neighbors. And so we felt it was very important to connect to the south, to the north, to the east, and to the west. So to the south, we connect to Campbell Park with the Unity Bridge. We're doing a Main Street program down 16th and down MLK, again, pulling Campbell Park into the gas plant district. To the north, we are connecting into and inviting in the Rails and Trails program, CSX, that comes down, into the Edge District, into Grand Central. To the west, we're connecting to the Warehouse Arts District and inviting them in. And then to the east, we're connecting to the Innovation District, which ARC is already a big piece of that, and the successes there, we want to draw that also into the gas plant district. So we were very, very intentional in making sure that the gas plant connected to the city, and there was no back door.
Yeah, I'll just say something about the community. What you saw presented here was what we proposed in October. But since then, we have been going to the community asking for input, advice, criticism, and it has transformed significantly. And I think, I don't know when that will be released, but I think you'll be very pleased.
And Bergbid.
In the 30 days that we were reviewing this, we really took into account our history of knowing this city. And what we started with was what is at the heart of the project. Let's get the public space right. Let's get the Woodson in the center of the site. Some of the plans have shown the Woodson essentially outside of the site. We want to make that the heart. We know when we did the competition of the pier, they came in with the design, but then we worked with the community to develop that into something that truly fit the community in the right way. We're going to have the Legacy Link that is going to go up and then connect to Methodist Town. We're going to have it connect on the other direction underneath the interstate to the Deuces and to Manhattan Casino and down 16th Street. Everything that you see in our plan is funded. We want to be very careful not to show things, maybe that require state funding, maybe need additional funding other than this plan. We're very careful to make sure that our connections are real and that everything in the end draws you back to the heart of the project and then builds off from there. When we talk about bridges within the site that used to be there and bringing them back, we are intentional about that. We will continue to create bridges throughout this project and beyond.
Thank you. This will be the final question of the evening.
All right. For all teams, how are you incorporating resiliency into your plans? Will there be resilient green infrastructure and nature-based solutions, such as restoring Booker Creek, to help deal with impacts? And will your energy infrastructure include solar, geothermal, and/or LEED-certified buildings?
We're going to start with Ark Ellison Horace.
Thank you. In our plan and in all of our projects, sustainability is a significant driver in the decisions that we make, both horizontally and vertically in everything we do. Sustainability for our project goes far beyond the environment as well. We'll be looking at sustainability of health and wellness. So how do we as a community sustain our health for our families, for our children, and for ourselves? We'll be looking at economic sustainability. How can we leverage education to grow and thrive in this neighborhood, to create a upward mobility in income growth, and how we make that growth sustainable? So sustainability is a really important word for us, but it means a lot more than the traditional environmental sustainability, which of course is a very important component to our project.
Berg bid.
Hello, thank you. So sustainability is not just a word for us. Neither is resiliency. It's a way of life. You know, I've worked with Wanamaker, Jensen, and Moto, and all these teams for years, and we really do bake in the sustainability and resiliency. You know, I've been a resident of the city of St. Pete for 20 years. I sat on DRC. I helped with the Integrated Sustainability Action Plan. We know it by the back of our hand. The urban canopy. We've baked in, you know, 8-inch oak trees to start. So we have the urban canopy reducing the urban heat dome effect so that on our pedestrian pathways, people have shade. We've got a 13-acre park along Booker Creek with green space on both sides to provide stormwater attenuation and treatment volume. So when we have another Hurricane Milton that gets 18 inches of rain in 12 hours, we have water. We have a space for that water to go. We have green roofs. We have a event center that doubles up as a evacuation shelter, and it's generator powered. We're also very familiar with Resilient St. Pete, the new initiatives with the city of St. Petersburg and Mayor Welch, the SPAR program, and I'll let Tom talk.
So I mentioned the SPAR program earlier in our presentation, the St. Pete Agile Resiliency, a very important program in the city to make sure that things work when they need to work. We have utilities that are going to serve this site, but we also have utilities that are going to go through this site serving other people. So everything we do, we're going to be thinking about not only the people that are on this site, but the people that are going to be served by the utilities within our footprint.
Thank you. Foundation Vision Partners.
Well, just again, a huge thank you to everyone coming out tonight. I know this is the last question. You guys have taken a lot of time out of your evenings to be with us, to listen to all of our proposals here. So again, just thank you to everyone for coming, for showing up and making your voices heard. You know, sustainability, resiliency certainly are buzzwords as were just mentioned, but you know, one of the things that's really important about our proposal is it matters as much as your voice makes it matter. So with our proposal and the horizontal infrastructure that we're proposing, it allows a pathway for many different aspects of sustainability to come into this future development. It's up to you, it's up to the city officials to make sure that as we start to develop the parcels that come online with other developers, with you all engaged in the process, you can mandate what happens. You know, showing green roofs and PV panels on renderings are all well and good, but I'll tell you, as soon as costs hit the road, a lot of times those get value engineered out. You guys have the plan and the voice and the opportunity with our proposal to make sure that those are mandated in from day one as we develop and start to really, you know, think through what this is and what's the best path for all of you. But again, thank you guys very much for showing up tonight.
Pinellas County Housing Authority. Take us home.
All right, well, first, how about a hand for our two American signers today? They worked really hard. And Representative Lindsay Cross is here, and she's an environmental by education, so I have to be careful with this question. Everything we build is affordable, and that means everything we use, the concrete, the lumber, the glass, right? Everything costs the same as everybody else in their building, but we have to figure out how to do it cheaper. So we have to make sure our utility costs are cheaper, which means we have to put things in automatically that are going to save energy and save water. Those are two of our biggest, just like in your house, two of our biggest expenses. We always build to green standards, and we don't want to rebuild anytime soon. So resiliency, how are we going to build a building for 50 years? Top of our list. One more thing. This all didn't just happen today. So how about a big hand for the city staff that put this on for us?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Tim brought up a really good point. It's also human sustainability and resiliency. You know, we're bringing people back to an area that they were forced out of, and we just can't forget it.
Thank you so much. Please, one more round of applause for everyone. All their time and efforts don't go unnoticed. Thank you so much. We appreciate everyone who joined us tonight. On behalf of our Mayor, Kenneth T. Welch, and our entire City of St. Pete team, thank you for being here in person and online. We appreciate your engagement, your questions, and your continued interest in the future of the historic gas plant. A reminder, this evening's program has been recorded and will be available on stpete.org. We also have a QR code up on the screen. That is for feedback. We'll be posting a link along with the video where you submit your thoughts and proposals. Feedback window will be open through May 30th. We anticipate Mayor Welch making a final selection in June, followed by a full community benefits process and formal negotiations with the selected group. Thank you and good night.